My girlfriend cheated, got kicked out by her mom. I got the house, but that wasn't the end. My name is Kevin, 31M. I'm just an ordinary office worker, nothing special, nothing remarkable, but hardworking enough to support myself and live a stable life. If there's one thing I've ever considered a true blessing during my youth, it was Kaylee, the woman who stood by me through all those uncertain growing years. We met when we were both just starting our careers. Back then, everything was chaotic. Neither of us had much to offer, just sincere feelings and dreams burning with passion. On late nights after work, we'd eat cheap bowls of noodles on the street corner. On weary weekends, she'd rest her head on my shoulder in silence, just to soak in a little peace. To me, Kaylee was more than a girlfriend. She was my partner, my emotional anchor, the most beautiful and trustworthy part of my life. I used to believe that if there was one thing in life that would never change, it was the love between us. We had weathered many ups and downs. We'd shared our deepest secrets, dreamt of a small home filled with trees and children's laughter. I truly believed we'd be together for the long run. But life is never as simple as we hope. I found out Kaylee was cheating on me on an otherwise ordinary afternoon. No warning signs, no fights, no growing distance. Just a message, short, careless, but enough to shatter everything I thought was unbreakable. I didn't yell. I didn't confront her with rage like they do in the movies. I simply looked at her, stayed quiet for a moment, and said, "We should end this." That one sentence, it was like a cold blade. No blood, no noise, but deep enough that there was no going back. I thought I'd have to deal with the wrath of Kaylee's family, like in all those painful breakup stories, but to my surprise, the only person who stood by me was her mother, Mrs. Mary. She didn't comfort me with sweet words or empty platitudes. She simply told me I wasn't wrong, that some things can't be salvaged once trust is gone. And she didn't blame me for walking away. In fact, she advised me not to stay bound by the past, not to tie myself to someone who had betrayed me. I didn't know why she defended me so firmly. Maybe she saw something others didn't. Maybe she had once been hurt in the same way. Whatever the reason, her quiet support was the one thing that kept me standing. It reminded me I wasn't entirely alone in this heartbreak. But I was naive to think that would be the end of it. I couldn't have predicted that my calm and silence would trigger something dark and selfish in Kaylee. She couldn't stand being abandoned. She couldn't stand the fact that her mother, the one person she thought would always take her side, had defended me instead. And then things spiraled in a direction I never could have imagined. Kaylee started spreading rumors, whispered lies to relatives, friends, even old colleagues, saying that I had an inappropriate relationship with her mother, that I was involved with Mrs. Mary behind her back, that our bond had crossed the line of what was acceptable between an ex-boyfriend and his ex's mother. When I first heard the rumor, I was stunned. Not because I felt ashamed, because I hadn't done anything wrong, but because it hurt. It hurt that the woman who once held my hand through life's storms now had no problem dragging me into the dirt just to make me suffer the way she was suffering. It hurt that she could twist something so vile, so damaging, just to strike back. And above all, I hurt for Mrs. Mary. The only person in Kaylee's family who had chosen to stand for what was right, now turned into a pawn in her daughter's revenge. No one deserves to be humiliated like that, especially not her. I don't know how far this will go, but one thing is clear: from the moment Kaylee uttered that lie, everything between us truly, finally ended. Kaylee and I came together through a quiet kind of understanding. I was an orphan raised in a state home. She had only her mother Mary left in her life. Maybe it was that shared sense of missing something, of knowing what a home really means, that made us try so hard to build one together. But reality was never as kind as I had imagined. I still remember that moment so clearly. The small house where the three of us lived, Kaylee, her mother Mary, and me, suddenly felt cold, suffocating. After I confronted Kaylee about the messages and photos I had stumbled upon in her phone, the air between us froze. She didn't deny anything. She admitted it, flat out, with a strange indifference. No tears, no apology, no regret, as if the years we'd spent loving each other meant nothing. I had thought, at the very least, she'd hang her head, ask for forgiveness, try to explain. But she didn't. She met my eyes, steady and cold, like she was throwing away a used object. I had no reason to stay, no hope left to hold on to. I packed my things, heart tangled in knots, and told myself I needed to walk away, for good this time. But as I reached the door with my suitcase, a warm hand gripped my wrist. I turned. It was Mary, Kaylee's mother, her face etched with sadness, but in her eyes, something firm. "Kevin," she said softly. "Don't set go. You didn't set do anything wrong. It sets Kaylee who needs to leave this house." I froze. Mary pulled me gently back into the living room. Behind the stairs, Kaylee stood stiff, arms crossed, face brimming with rage. "What the hell are you saying, Mom?" she snapped. "He sips nothing. I sips your daughter." "And he," Mary said calmly, "is a man who loved you through your worst years, who treated me with more respect than some people treat their own parents, who showed up quietly and stayed when things got hard. And you betrayed him. You tore this family apart." Kaylee stared at her mother, stunned. She hadn't expected this. None of us had. "You cheated. You didn't sit to apologize, and now you raise your voice to the man you hurt." Mary Sitta's voice was steel now. "I sit have watched you live selfishly for too long. Today I choose to stand with what Sitta's right. I won't Sitta's let you hurt someone else just because you can Sitta's face yourself." Kaylee Sepp's eyes flared red. "So you Sept are choosing him over your own daughter?" "Yes," Mary said without hesitation, "because if my own daughter is wrong, I have to be the first to say it, and if you want sit change, I want sit cover for you." I thought I'd feel some kind of satisfaction seeing Kaylee face consequences, but all I felt was shock. Not at her anger, but at Mary's courage. The same woman who once doted on her daughter now stood her ground, firm and unflinching. Kaylee screamed, grabbed a few things, and stormed out. Just before slamming the door, she threw one last line at me. "You think she really cares about you? You sit'll see, don't sit be so naive." The door slammed shut. Silence. Mary exhaled and turned to me. "You don't sit have to go anywhere, Kevin. This is still your home if you want it to be. Don't sit punish yourself for someone else sits a mistakes." My throat tightened. I'd never felt anything like that before, being protected, seen, defended, especially not by someone who, not long ago, might have been my mother-in-law. It wasn't romantic. It was something deeper, like I'd been pulled from the wreckage and reminded of what dignity felt like. From that moment on, I understood something. Blood doesn't instead always make a family. Family is where you're heard, respected, and loved with honesty. And if I had to choose between someone who shares my DNA but hurts me, and someone who came into my life with truth and care, I'd choose the latter, every time, without regret. After everything, I ended up living with Mary. Without Kaylee, the house became strangely quiet, but even stranger was the peace I felt, something I never really had when I was with her. No more fights. No more nights lying awake, wondering what I'd done wrong. Every evening when I came home from work, Mary would be there waiting by the dinner table. She never said much, just cooked quietly, asked how my day went, and gently placed food into my bowl like a real mother would. I was deeply grateful to her. During a time when I felt like I was falling apart, Mary was the only person who stood by me, who opened her arms like I was family. She never questioned me, never pried. She was just there, steady, kind, safe. But beneath that gratitude, a quiet guilt started to grow. I was her daughter's ex-boyfriend. Sure, Kaylee had cheated. Sure, Mary had been the one to ask her to leave. But still, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was in a position I didn't belong. I didn't want people to think I was taking advantage of her kindness. More than that, I didn't want Mary to feel uncomfortable because of me. I told myself I'd move out once I got back on my feet, mentally, financially. But Mary was the one who stopped me. "I don't sit mind," she said gently. "If you leave, I sit will be alone. This is your home too, for as long as you need it. Stay until you truly want to go, not because you feel you have to." Her voice was soft, but it weighed heavy in my heart. So I stayed. The days passed with quiet rhythm, work, dinner, dishes, brief chats. Then we each went to our rooms, but I started to notice something change in her eyes. A quiet sadness, always lurking behind her smile whenever I came home. A kind of ache I couldn't name. Was it because of Kaylee? Was it guilt, or something else? I didn't have an answer until everything exploded one afternoon. I was at work, typing away, when a colleague stopped by my desk with a strange look on her face. "Hey Kevin, have you seen that post going around online?" I blinked. "What post?" She leaned closer, whispering, "Someone Seps saying you Sep, seeing your ex-Sep's mom." I froze. My heart kicked in my chest, then sank like a stone. I grabbed my phone. On one of those celebrity gossip forums known for viral exposés, A new post had just gone up. The title read, "Shocking Ex-Boyfriend Seduces Girlfriend Sister's Mom to Keep the House?" Below were a bunch of photos, completely normal moments between me and Mary. Me helping her down the stairs, her placing food in my bowl, me smiling as she touched my shoulder, us shopping for groceries, all innocent, all twisted into something else through clever cropping and captions. At the bottom of the post, a snide comment said, "Break up with the girl but stay in the momset's house? Genius or just long-term planning?" Thousands of shares, comments pouring in. This guy knows how to play the long game. Bet he fooled both mother and daughter. What kind of mom falls for her daughter's sip's ex? Men are never truly decent, huh? I put my phone down, fists clenched. My head buzzed with fury and shame. I didn't care what they said about me, but dragging Mary into this? The woman who had only ever shown me kindness reduced to gossip, mockery, and filth. That night, I came home early. The house was still. Mary stood in the kitchen, calmly stirring vegetables like nothing had happened. The table was already set, steam rising from a hot bowl of soup. She turned to me. "You sent her home early. I made your favorite seaweed soup." I stood at the kitchen doorway watching her, her silver-streaked hair, her gentle smile, the same quiet care in her every motion, and now the center of a scandal she didn't deserve. I couldn't take it anymore. "I'm sorry," I whispered. She looked up, confused. "Sorry for what?" "For staying too long. For bringing this kind of shame to you." "Kevin," she said, walking over. "I don't care what people say. I know who you are." "But I care," I blurted. "I can sit to let you be insulted because of me. I can sit to keep pretending this doesn't matter." Mary went quiet, eyes locked on mine. I knew she wanted to say something comforting, but for the first time I couldn't let myself be comforted. Not because I didn't trust her, but because I couldn't bear the thought of her carrying my weight any longer. "I'm going to move out," I said, this time meaning it. "You done so much for me, but if I stay, I'll only bring more trouble to your doorstep." Silence settled over the kitchen. Then she nodded, like a breath let go. "All right," she said quietly. "I'll pack you some food to take with you." I turned away, throat tight. That was the quietest dinner we ever shared, but it was also the moment I truly understood how kindness, if left undefended, can be deeply wounded by the world. And I couldn't let her be wounded anymore. I still remember that afternoon vividly. I came home from work, my mind heavy, while social media was still filled with vicious comments tearing at my dignity and character. People were calling me shameless, the guy who slept with his ex's mom for a place to stay, a snake in the skin of an orphan. I thought I was used to cruelty. I grew up in an orphanage, surrounded by pitying eyes or silent judgment. But this was different. This humiliation was so sharp it felt like it was ripping me apart from the inside. I had planned to just pack up and leave again, one more time, running from the storm of public opinion. But before I could say anything, Mary placed an envelope in front of me. Her voice was soft, but her words were heavy with memory and pain. "If you decided to face this, then make sure people believe you completely." I looked at her, stunned. There was no anger in her eyes, no desperation, just calm and a quiet sorrow. I took the letter to my room and opened it in silence. It was handwritten, every word carefully penned with clarity and conviction. At the top, a bold title, "The Truth About My Daughter." I read each word with my heart pounding. "My name is Mary. I am the biological mother of Kaylee, and I swear everything I write here is the truth. Kaylee didn't just cheat once. During her time with Kevin, she repeatedly had secret affairs with coworkers, ex-boyfriends, even her superiors for personal gain. Kevin is not the first person to suffer from her betrayal. Before him there was a man named Aiden who nearly took his own life because of her lies. I've tried many times to talk to Kaylee, but she never listened. When Kevin decided to end the relationship, I begged him to stay, not because I wanted to protect my daughter, but because I knew who truly deserved blame. Kaylee is my child, but I cannot let a good man like Kevin continue to be hurt. I'm writing this because I can no longer stay silent while my own daughter ruins the name of someone innocent. I clutched the paper tightly. My throat closed. I had always thought Mary's kindness came from sympathy or maternal instinct, but I never imagined she would go this far, that she would publicly tell the truth about her own daughter, just to protect me, someone with no blood ties to her. That night I pulled myself together. I opened my laptop and wrote a long post on social media. I didn't scream. I didn't lash out. I simply told the truth. From the moment I discovered the messages, to Kaylee's cold response, to the quiet days living with Mary, and finally, the contents of her letter. I attached screenshots, messages, photos, timestamps. Everything was clear, verifiable. I even shared a photo of the letter, hiding Mary's signature but leaving enough to prove it was from a mother who had reached her breaking point. The post spread like wildfire. At first, some people accused me of staging the whole thing, but as more and more details aligned, the tide began to turn. Former coworkers of Kaylee began commenting, subtly confirming her shady behavior. A college friend even spoke up about Aiden, the man from the letter, who'd been hospitalized after taking sleeping pills, devastated by Kaylee's betrayal. Public opinion flipped. People started calling me the real victim. A decent man nearly destroyed by lies. One commenter wrote, "He didn't Set have to do this. He could Set just left, like most people. But he stayed. He told the truth, that Sep's what makes him admirable." Kaylee couldn't stay silent anymore. She posted a weak statement, trying to deny everything, even suggesting that something inappropriate was still going on between me and her mother, but no one believed her. Once trust is broken, no excuse can repair it. While Kaylee was buried under a storm of backlash, I received message after message of support. Strangers thanked me for speaking up. Many said they saw themselves in my story. And Mary? She was still the same. Still setting the dinner table each evening, still waiting for me to come home from work, still asking, "Rough day, honey?" while handing me a bowl of warm soup. I looked at her. The woman who once dared to stand against public opinion, even against her own daughter, just to defend the truth. My gratitude went beyond words. She didn't just help me. She taught me something I will carry forever. Kindness, even when misunderstood, even when attacked, has a quiet strength, and it is always worth protecting. Everything has come to light. My name has been cleared. The truth is out. But strangely, I don't feel happy. Maybe because some wounds don't disappear with a few apologies or a public vindication. Mary has left quietly just as she once appeared. I believe she needed time to heal, not just from what her daughter did to me, but from the pain she carried as a mother watching her child fall so far. As for Kaylee, she still goes live, still laughs, still deflects responsibility and lashes out at me with venom. But this time, no one listens. People stay silent, or scroll past her as if she never existed. The story is over, but it left a huge void inside me. Like the sky after a storm. Clear, yes, but the world below still bears the damage. Today I'm writing this on Reddit, not for attention, not for sympathy, just to let it go. To finally close this chapter. And maybe, just maybe, if somewhere out there Mary reads this, I want her to know I haven't forgotten. I remember everything. Her courage, her kindness, her quiet dignity. Thank you, Mary. You weren't my mother, by blood. But in the darkest days of my life, you were the only one who stood between me and the storm.